about ship maps next. Um, so this is a project called the shipmap.org, and it basically is a map. It's a time series map by Duncan Clark and Robin Houston, and it's basically maps all the ships. Yeah, Duncan Clark and Robin Houston. It basically maps all the ships. It's basically a talkie, which is like this new idea of like having your visualization and then like have an audio feedback loop, like an audio playback while the animation is happening. It's sort of like the first of its kind. There are more in that category, but I think this is one of the biggest projects out there. Okay, so on top we have carbon emissions and containers, what's inside sort of like the how about I let Duncan Clark just explain it.
At any given moment, tens of thousands of giant cargo ships are moving around the world's oceans. These ships, some of which are more than a quarter of a mile long, are the heavy lifters of the global economy, shifting everything from metal ores and compressed gas to fresh fruit and plastic toys. This interactive map shows the movements of the world's commercial shipping fleet in 2012, based on hundreds of millions of individually recorded positions. Plotting all the raw positions at once shows the extraordinary extent of modern shipping's reach. Even without a background map, the world's coastlines are clearly defined, albeit with plenty of variation. From the buzz of activity in the East China Sea to the relative quiet of Somalia's piracy-afflicted waters. While ships can move freely through the open ocean, routes are predetermined closer to land, and especially in tight straits such as the dual carriageway of the English Channel. The most crucial shipping thoroughfares of all, though, are the man-made canals linking different bodies of water, such as the Panama Canal, opened a century ago to connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, and the even older and busier Suez Canal, which saw 17,000 transits in 2012 alone. In some places, ships penetrate deep into continents via rivers and lakes, such as the massive Paraguay and Amazon rivers in South America, or the Great Lakes in North America, whose ports include Chicago, Milwaukee, and Toronto. Colouring the ships by category shows the flows of the global economy in more detail. The red dots are the tankers, which shunt oil from massive terminals in the Middle East or from offshore rigs in West Africa and elsewhere, while the blue dots are so-called dry bulk ships, which move aggregates, ores and coal from mines and quarries, many of them found in Australia and Latin America. Many of these raw materials are shipped to manufacturing regions to make finished goods that are themselves then moved back across the ocean in container ships, shown here in yellow. China is the center of the shipping container world. Shanghai alone moved 33 million units in 2012. While all of this shipping makes modern life as we know it possible, there is a downside. Moving billions of tons of ships and cargo relies on burning massive quantities of bunker fuel. The result is a huge amount of carbon dioxide or CO2, the main driver of global warming. Commercial ships produce more than 1 million tons of CO2 every day, more than the whole of the UK, or Canada, or Brazil. Click around the map to explore the data for yourself, or click the info sign for more information about how it was made.
Okay, so this is shipmap.org. It's just so comprehensive. It's so amazing. Yeah. So this is one of those pieces that kind of deserve to be in like a museum, or like you kind of need a physical like like a tabletop touchscreen kind of interface just to play this, because I think it'll. The thing is, it's like websites get lost on the internet all the time, and this is one of those maps that like deserves like a place in the physical world. Um, yeah. Now this map has been referenced by like a lot of big YouTubers. Now, when I say big YouTubers, I mean like more than 10, 15 million subscribers. And so Johnny Harris, I think, has used this map in one of his videos. Ryan Trahan, for example, has used some other Flourish visualizations in his videos. So it's like really big. Yeah. Okay. In terms of you can, so these are the types of uh, freights that go on the ship. So it's vehicles being transported, gas, tankers, um, dry bulk. Okay, you can sort it by ship type as well. You can see, okay, so this basically lets you just see the map, shows the routes and the ports. Okay, so the reason for sharing this map is because there's another Arctic map that I was working on, and I think this is a good transition or like a good intro into like the topic of Arctic maps and the shipping incidents that happened in Arctic maps. That's going to be the next topic. Okay, more about the ship map. So you can embed this map. What can you see? You can see the movement of global merchant fleets over the course of 2012 overlaid on a bathymetric map. So in Flourish, there is another category of maps, which gives you this base map template. But I think this specific bathymetric map might be something that Rob in Houston might know what it is. Okay. Yeah. So the maximum what can I do? Control by filter type, containers, dry bulk container. Okay. Unfortunately, the data we are using for this map is incomplete for the first few months of the year, roughly January to April. Okay. Yeah. So this was made by a team of 5 people, I think. So Duncan Clark, Robin Houston, Julia and Tristan Smith from the UCLEI. And the music is by Kimoko. Okay, how is the map created? UCL took data showing location and speed of ships and cross-checked it with another database to get the vessel characteristics such as engine type and hull movement measurements. Information, compute the carbon dioxide emission for each observed hour. Took the resulting data set and visualized it in WebGL. WebGL. On top of a specially created base map, which shows bathymetry. Okay, ocean depth. Okay, that's what it means. Bathymetry. Okay, based on as well as continents and major rivers from natural earth. Okay. Very grateful to our funders, the European Climate Foundation, and it won the IAB award in 2016. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now, um, yeah. So this should definitely be in like a museum or like some corporate office, like as a tabletop touchscreen device. Like this should definitely be in uh, the physical world. Um, yeah. Okay. Now we're going to talk about uh, the Arctic uh, map. Okay. So this is basically the Arctic map. Now the this is sort of like a projection map which focuses on the Arctic region. And in the center, somewhere around here, we have our North Pole. Um, Now we're going to start uh, by exploring all of Canada's neighbors. So we don't just have one neighbor; we have multiple neighbors. Uh, Most people would just be like, "Oh, U.S. is our only neighbor." That's not true. Uh, Canada has, if you look at this Arctic map, Canada has neighbors in terms of the US, Alaska, basically, Russia, Finland, Sweden, Norway, London, England, UK, uh, Ireland, uh, Iceland, and Greenland. So think of it like countries that have like a large body of water between Canada and that country. Actually, no. But that definition, like every port-facing country would be like a neighbor of Canada. Okay. Um, let's just say anyone over here, all the countries in here are our neighbors. Okay. Now, okay. So just in terms of Canada, right? Um, so what the points basically represent on this map, they're basically ships and the accidents that have happened to the ships. So before getting into the ship part of it, let's just explore Canada. So um, we're looking at the Arctic region. When I say the Arctic region, I'm talking about the three northern territories of Canada. So we have Nunavut, uh, we have Yukon, and Northern Territories. So the three cities that most Canadians probably know about are Whitehorse, Yellowknife, and then Iqaluit, I think. Yeah. So these cities are basically okay. The combined population of all of this region that you see on the map would be less than like 50,000 people. So this is considered Hudson Bay. So Hudson Bay comes up usually in the context of like history books, where Hudson Bay was one of the explorer basically tried to come to Hudson Bay in the 1600s and started to do like fur trading over here. Um, Now, in terms of cities over here, there used to be colonies here, but what ended up happening is that they weren't like permanent settlements. They were kind of like trading bases where, they would hunt for polar bears or like hunt for, it was used for like fur trading basically. This region is considered the Northern Passage. So all of this is frozen, And like in terms of the weather here, it sort of like oscillates between -30 and like -70 degrees during winter time. So it's very harsh environment. All you're looking at is snow. So the it's pretty amazing, the people who live over here. And for like regular Canadians, it's like these cities kind of give us hope that, oh, -10 and -15 isn't that bad. There's places up north with -30 and -50. Yeah. So now there are shipping vessels that go past here because it's like a more uh, so what sort of activities happen in this region are basically um, there's uh, there's three categories. There's big cargo ships that go through these passages. There's a bit of tourism, so people who are into like extreme sports, or like there's like programs where they train astronauts up here. Then there's people like Mr. Beast who just wants to go to the Arctic for no reason. Um, so what people do is like they take private flights up north here, and then they spend time over here. Movies are usually shot up here, where like stranded in Arctic kind of movies. Um, there's Okay, now what are these dots and why are ships going around in this region, right? So before we get into that, let's just explore like what is over here. So Alaska has sort of like cities in Alaska, and this is called the Bering Strait. So this connects Russia to the U.S. Now, if you look at like the regular maps that aren't like infinitely scrolling, it kind of looks like Canada on one corner and then Russia on the other side of the world, right? So this is actually what the Arctic sort of looks like. That there's just a little bit of water between the U.S. and Russia. Now, in terms of the northern part of Russia, Russia is also as empty as Canada is. Next, we have Finland. Now, this software that I'm actually using is basically uh, it's a Finnish tech company. So it's by Finland, and it's sort of like this collaborative program between like Finland and Canada and I think the US. Um, and all three of them use this software for Arctic maps. Um, the software is actually pretty good because what you can do is like you can literally select views where you can select the US view, and then the US would be at bottom, and then you can look at the Russia view, and then Russia would be at the bottom. So it kind of like rotates. Now you can actually click these dots, but I have like they let you export like iframes, but the iframes you can't click it. Like you kind of need the software to kind of click it, something along those lines. Okay. Yeah. So the types of boats that come over here, right? They're not regular boats because they need to be like big enough to kind of uh, go past the icebergs. So think like Titanic, like that's the scale of ships that travel from here. So they're called like icebreakers, and they literally break the ice while they go. So it's like one giant ass ship going first, and then like smaller uh, fishing ships might go after, to ensure that like the water that they're traveling through is the ice is broken over there. Now, okay, so uh, yeah, so what are the sort of accidents that happen in the Arctic? So these are shipping vessels. The first category is collisions. Uh, then the second category is like damage to vessels. So this could be like hitting the iceberg and denting the outside of of the the ship. You have a machinery failure. Grounded is like the ships that reach are like not moving and are grounded. Fires and explosions might happen, uh, and then like you might hit a an iceberg and you might sink. So Titanic is an example for that. Yeah. So hope this video was insightful, and the the software is called what is the software called? Okay, so you can just click over here and Arctic SDI geoportal. Yeah. So what you can do is um, you can change like the projection settings and just be like, oh, look at the Russia view and the Atlantic view. Bering Strait, Alaska, Europe view. Okay. So Europe view puts the UK at the bottom. So mostly there's a lot of like, what do you call it? Mostly there's a lot of, okay. So the settlements down here, uh, some of them are kind of like cemeteries. So these are like, there used to be a settlement maybe 100 years ago or something, and uh, people just like either froze to death or maybe someone died while they were in these boats, and then like Hudson Bay, like this region over here specifically, has cemeteries where like there were a few dead people in the boat, and when they reached shore, they buried them, and yeah. There's also like towns that are abandoned in Canada. Like you would often like drive far away, and there would be houses built over there, like, and houses will have like postal codes, but then the smaller cities weren't able to attract that many people, and then like entire like towns would just die out, which is something that happens, and it's a bit sad sometimes to see that. But yeah. Okay, so hope you like the final stream for this year. And oh, Santa lives here, by the way. That is one of Canada's biggest exports. Yeah. Okay. Um Thank you for watching, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow it. So uh, thank you for your time.